If you grow potatoes like I do, well, I'm here in the Middle Atlantic southern states of Virginia, potato pests are definitely a problem. In my area, I get two. And I'd like to do something that prevents both of those kinds of pests. The first kind of pest is flea beetles. And they are always here pretty early in the season, munching little tiny holes in my potatoes and anything else they can get their hands on, particularly brassicas. The other pest, which is more problematic, is the Colorado Potato Beetle. And that is definitely a problem. So I like to be proactive with preventing these pests from coming in. Now, I'm an organic gardener, but I do believe that there are some things that you can use in your garden that can be considered organic. My favorite way of dealing with pests is to pick them off by hand. But with something like a Colorado potato beetle, they can be pretty deadly. Plus, potatoes grow underground, and I'm not really looking for anything that is systemic. In other words, going into that potato that I'm going to end up eating. What I do use on potatoes very sparingly and as a preventative is spinosad. In this case, it's in Captain Jack's dead bug flower and vegetable garden dust. Now, any dust will kill any insect, so you have to be really, really careful. I would never use this on certain crops. I would never use this on my anything that depended on flowering for pollination, for example. Now, potatoes sometimes flower and sometimes they don't, but the flowers are kind of secondary and they don't really attract the same kinds of pollinators that other plants do. So I will use this dust sparingly. It is pretty safe and it's OMRI approved, meaning it is approved for organic gardening. So I'm an organic gardener, but I'm not so hardcore that I'm going to let potato beetles eat up my plants rather than not use something like spinosad. You can look up spinosad and you can look up and see where it comes from. It comes from the soil itself. So I'm good with this, and I've been pretty successful in using it. So you just want to kind of sprinkle it onto your potatoes like this. This is my Ruth Stout potato bed, and you can see other videos that I've made about growing Ruth Stout style. So what I'm just going to do is sprinkle this dust onto the leaves. Beetles tend to climb on the exterior of the leaves. I do try to avoid anything that's going to be like a flower. Here's a flea beetle right here. Right there, those little black things. So they do crawl around and they will chew holes in your plant. This is a time of year, there's not really a whole lot of pollinators in this part of my garden, so I'm not super worried about using the dust. Now, this is Monarda, which will be blooming in another few weeks, and that's another story. But by that time, these potatoes will be harvestable, or close to it. Potato plants, when they're big like this, they can survive the flea beetles, but they are not going to do a very good job of surviving the Colorado beetles if they come in. So the best way to deal with the Colorado potato beetle is this way, just prevent. What do they say? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I see flea beetles on this guy over here. So flea beetles tend to hop on the edges of the leaves. But again, I'm taking real care not to get them on the Monarda, even though it's not growing quite yet. Colorado potato beetles, if you're in the neighborhood, don't stop by. But I'm not to be fooled. I know they'll be in the neighborhood, even though it's not Colorado. Again, spinosad I use it sparingly. I don't use it throughout my whole garden, and I use it to target specific things. I use it on my eggplants because flea beetles just will destroy them otherwise, and I use it on my potatoes as well. Those are the main things that I use it for. And I still, nonetheless, I'm very, very meticulous about checking every single day for whatever happens to be growing. If you can check things early and get beetles in there as eggs, or you can get them in their larval stage, or just as you first begin to see the infestation, you can do a lot by just picking them off on a daily basis. So, and I drop them into soapy water to a watery, bubbly death. that's for another video. At any rate, thank you so much for watching. I hope your garden's growing well, and I hope you're well. Take care. Bye. Let's go get some more beetles.